Hello BookTube, my name is Elizabeth. Welcome or welcome back to my channel, Book as in Books. I'm very excited for this video today because I'm announcing a brand new BookTube event. It is the Remember December Rereadathon. You've heard well, I'm not stuttering, it is a rereadathon. We want to celebrate the joy of rereading. So I said we, who's we? There are 7 hosts and there are links in the description box. And the hosts are Aaron Facer, Anne Novella, Criminally, Miss Reads a Lot, Skelly Delling About the Books, and Shelley Swearingen, plus myself, obviously. So, how did it start? Well, perhaps I should say what it's about. It's about rereading. It's in the name. So all you have to do to participate is to reread one book. Just one book, you reread it, and that's that. Because we want to celebrate the joy of rereading. As I said, the way it started is that at the end of the summer, Anne Novella celebrated 1,000 subscribers with a live chat. And at some point, the topic of rereading came up. And I think she mentioned that it was not talked about enough on BookTube, that it was not, somehow it was not considered a legitimate reading experience. And I don't know if it was her or me who said, we should make an event about it. And I said, yes, let's do a rereadathon. And Anne said, yes, let's do that. So that's how it started. And now Anne has invited all our wonderful co-hosts. And now we are hosting an event in December to celebrate the joy of rereading. Now, perhaps you've never reread anything in your life. If that's the case, come on in, join us, just reread one book, that's all you have to do. If you already know the joy of rereading, well, indulge. In my case, I know that sometimes I feel guilty about rereading because I'm aware of all the unread books that are out there. And if I take time to read again a book that I've already read, I already know what it's about. Why do I bother reading it again when there's all these other books that I haven't discovered and potential favorites? And a whole bunch of them on my shelves, like 200 of them. Yes, I'm thinking, no, rereading is a waste of time. But this time we're saying it's okay. Reread, particularly if you're like me and you have books on your shelves that are just there, and that's the reason why you keep the books, is because you're thinking, well, maybe I'll reread them one day. That one day has come. It is time to reread your books. So that is the origin of the event, and that's the reason for the event. Now, if you don't know exactly how to go about it, where to start, I know it's so many books to reread, we have prompts for you. All you have to do is to reread one, that's it, no questions asked. But if you like a little challenge, or if you like to tick boxes or things like that, we have 3 prompts for you. The first one, perhaps the most obvious, is reread a book that you've basically forgotten. So it's a book, it's there, you've read it, you know you've read it, but if somebody were to ask, oh, that book, is it good? Oh yeah, it was very good, I loved it. Okay, what is it about? Well, there's a character, yeah, I think he goes to war, yeah, the title is The Wars by Smithy Finley, yeah, he goes to war, yeah, which war? The first one? The First World War? Yeah, why is it plural? The wars. Maybe he goes to the second one? Or is it the personal war? I don't remember. Well, that's the book you should reread. Now, I'm exaggerating a little bit, but at the same time, I'm not exaggerating because it's my case. I said The Wars by Timothy Finley, and that's the book I have in mind for that prompt because I don't remember what it's about. I remember it was good, but I don't remember what it's about. So perhaps I should reread it. The second prompt is reread a book to make sure how you feel about it. Now, of course, it could be a book that you're not quite sure about. Was it good? Was it not good? And you don't really have an opinion, and that on second read, you'll have a better opinion. Yeah, it's a possibility. Other possibility, perhaps more interesting. You've read a book a long time ago, and it was one of the best books you've ever read, one of your favorites of all time. The thing is, you've never reread it. Or you read it twice, but it was once when you were 15 and then another time when you were 16, and now you are 46. I don't know. I'm saying that just like that. I'm not 46, I'm 44. Anyway, so imagine that. Oh, another fictional example. Let's say that book that was the best book you've ever, my God, that's not English. The best book you've ever read, your favorite book of all time, and that was 10 years ago. And let's say you're a good reader and you read about 50 books a year. So that means that this best book of all time was 500 books ago. That's many books. There's been a lot of books that you've read, and does it still compare? Does it still stand as the best book you've ever read? Because now you have the experience of 500 extra books. Perhaps you're better equipped now to say what's a good book, what's a less good book, and all that. So yeah, perhaps you could reread that favorite book. Or on the other hand, you could go for the opposite. It's a book you did not like. You hated it. But are you sure you really hated it? Perhaps you read it at the wrong time in your life. Perhaps it was a book that you read in school and you were very much in your attitude of, and perhaps it's worth revisiting. So you might want to do that. So either or, just reread a book just to make sure how you feel about it. Or perhaps it's a book that is your favorite. You've read it 100 times and now you want to read it for one extra time just to make sure, just to make sure that it's really, really your favorite. That's fine too. And the last prompt, our third prompt, is that we are inviting you to read a book in a different manner. So perhaps you read the book with your eyes and now you want to listen to an audio version of the book because it is an entirely different experience, the audiobook and the written version. So that could be an option. You could read a different translation. Let's say it's a classic that's been translated 100 times. Well, try a second translation. If you read in multiple languages, you may try to read it in a different language. Perhaps you read it in little snippets, like when you were on public transportation going to work or going to school, and now you want to sit and read it in long stretches at a time. That's an option. Perhaps you want to change the speed at which you read it. Let's say it was a book that you read in school and you analyzed it to death. You know it was good, but it was analyzed to death. Perhaps you want to reread it just for the fun of it and just read it in one go. And then perhaps you want to do something else. Perhaps it's a book that was so good you read it in one go, but now you want to reread it slowly and take notes and take your time and Google stuff and compare with other books and just take your time to read the book. That could be an option. Another option, you read it on your own and now you're making it a buddy read. Another option. So these are all different ways of rereading a book. You may find some other ways of rereading. Go ahead. The prompts are suggestions. They're open. It's just to encourage you, just to invite you really to reread books, because we don't talk enough about rereading, and it is a legitimate reading experience. So that's it. That's all I had to announce. The event is in December, as the title says. But if you want to start early, it's fine. I'm going to start early because I'm talking about rereading books and now I want to reread books. So yeah, if you want to start early, go ahead. We have a Discord and the Discord is in the description box below. And now, of course, we don't have a group read because there's not a... Well, there probably is one book that all of us have read. And then again, all of us, all the 7 hosts, we could find a book that all 7 of us have read, but it's not necessarily a book that we want to reread. And it's certainly not a book that all of you have read. Because we hear it a lot on YouTube. I'm the last person on earth not to have read this book. Turns out that you're not. And in the comments, say, no, I haven't read it either. I haven't read it either. So there's not a single book that everybody has read and also that everybody wants to reread. So that's the reason why, obviously, there's no group read, but it doesn't mean that there's nothing to talk about. So that's why we have a Discord. We can talk about our reading experience, why we choose to reread such and such book, how the book was different on reread, what are your impressions. If you're new to rereading, tell us if you like it or if you don't like it. If you're old hat at rereading, tell us why you like it and things like that. So link in the description box. And on that, I'm going to say thank you for watching and I hope you're going to participate and I'm going to see you in the next video. À la prochaine!